Hey everyone, and welcome to our Give Live webinar. I'm Matt Cromwell, Head of Support at GiveWP.com and WordImpress.com. Give is an online donation plugin for WordPress. Our goal is to democratize generosity. We do that by making online donation forms as elegant, flexible, and robust as possible, while still being very user-friendly. Unlike third-party platforms, we do not add any fees to your donations. We leave all of that up to you and your payment gateway of choice. That enables you to have lower fees, and that means more people and more causes can be hosting high-quality donation forms on their websites, and that is democratization. Today, this is our 11th Give Live webinar. In just a few episodes, we've already covered things from choosing your payment gateway and managing custom fields and even preparing for a Giving Tuesday. It's right around the corner, actually, if you think about it. Start preparing now. We did that last month with our marketing manager, Bridget Willard, who's on right now on our chat. We've got a couple things going on with my chat tool. The purpose of this monthly webinar is to provide you, our Give users, with ideas, insights, tools, and resources for doing online donations as effectively as possible. Next month, we're going to be discussing user roles and capabilities with Give. Sounds super boring, I'm sure. But roles and capabilities are the things that will help you to choose who can see your donor reports, for example. Or maybe you want to restrict access to certain types of content based on whether or not a person has donated or not. That's also possible. Roles and capabilities will let you do all those things. So we're going to talk all about that next month on Wednesday, September 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Mark your calendars and watch for our announcement post about that on our blog, givewp.com/blog. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Devon Walker. He's our founder and our lead developer, head of product. He's with us today. Devon and I are going to chat all about what's coming up very soon in Give 2.0. So today we're going to talk about lots of things with 2.0, mostly like why are we jumping to 2.0? We're going to talk about some of the big features that are coming in 2.0 that you should be excited about. And also we're going to talk about what 2.0 is going to enable with us for the future. So before we jump into all of that, Devon, would you introduce yourself to our audience?
Definitely. Hey, everybody. My name is Devon Walker. I'm a lead developer and founder of Give. Been using WordPress for around 8 years now, and also like to go to WordCamps, organize them, speak at them, and pretty much everything around WordPress I enjoy. And we've had a great time building this company and building Give, and I'm really happy to join Matt today on Give Live.
Cool. Thanks so much for being on with us, Devon. And honestly, I can't talk about 2.0 without you. So
No problem. That's why I'm here.
Before we jump into that too, actually, we wanted to just give a couple highlights of new stuff that we either just released in Give or that are actually coming up very, very soon. For example, just this last week, we released a new add-on called Tributes. It's a cool thing that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time. A lot of folks think of it in terms of in honor of or in memory of. And that's something that you could actually do with Form Field Manager, just adding those options onto your form. But when we do stuff, we'd like to do it robustly, all the way to the top. So what Tributes does is it allows you to have as many different types of honoraria as you like. It's not just in honor of or memory of. You can add as many different kinds. And then you can also enable an e-card feature. You can enable a mail a card feature that has an actual PDF creation tool built into it, so that when a donor says, yes, please mail a card to the honoree on my behalf, then you could just print that card out from your WordPress site and mail it off right away. You can export all of the addresses into a simple CSV file that you can use anywhere you like in order to print those labels. And then you can even indicate, oh, this card was mailed already. You have a tracking tool built into it. So it's not just a simple checkbox on the form. It's a full-featured everything way to do honoraria, and we think you're going to love it. Check it out as soon as you can. For anybody who's a bundle license holder already, for the Plus and Pro bundle license holders, you already have that. If you are a basic bundle, you might want to think about upgrading. Or if you have just one add-on, you might want to think about upgrading as well, because you're going to want to get this. Devon, could you talk a little bit about some of the new add-on releases? Not new add-ons, but releases that were coming out in some of our existing add-ons. We have several that are exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a new major version for Give Recurring coming out. It's version 1.4. And within that, there's a bunch of bug fixes, but a lot of great updates as well. For instance, in the backend of WordPress, within your subscriptions list, you'll be able to filter by donation form, by when the subscription started, by when it ended, and then there's also a great search feature now included. And also on the front end of the donation form, you can customize the ability for your donors to give in what they want the recurring frequency and period to be. So that's been a much requested feature, and we're working hard to get that out. As well, Form Field Manager will be releasing version 1.2, which will have the ability to basically columnize to break your fields into columns. So if you want a half column field and another half column field, you can show those nicely. Previous to this version, you could just basically stack your form fields, and it didn't look great. If you knew some CSS, you could get around it by organizing them yourselves. But of course, we never want to have our users have to use any CSS to customize the way the form looks, unless they absolutely need to. So we have a nice addition there where you can organize your fields in a much better way. As well, a great feature is you can also, the field data is preserved. So if you put the fields within the section of the form that includes the payment gateway fields, and you switch payment gateways previous to this version, if somebody had completed the fields, that data would be reset and the form fields would be reset. So now when you switch payment gateways, that field data is preserved, so your users won't have to type in any additional information again. So those are two big add-on releases. As well, Authorize.net, we've done some significant updates on that. We're ditching the silent URL feature, which we've had some issues with reliability with. Authorize.net came out with a neat new feature to the API called webhooks. This is something that Stripe's had for a long time that we've integrated with successfully. So Authorize.net uses them a little bit differently, but it's very similar. One great feature is that you don't need to even set them up yourself. So once you activate our new version of Authorize.net, the plugin will look automatically to see if you have already set them up. If you haven't, it will set them up for you. And it does this all via Ajax. And if there's any issues, it'll warn you of those and let you know. And so you'll be set up with those webhooks. If a refund occurs in Authorize.net, it'll send that webhook to your website. Our add-on will interpret that webhook and act accordingly to update your donation records. So those are a couple add-ons that add-on releases we're excited about coming out within the next couple weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, Devon. Yeah, there's a lot going on. We're really pushing out as much as we can, as quickly as we can, based on your guys' input, based on your feedback that you give us through our support channel, through social media. We listen as much as we can and try to respond as quickly as we can. And Devon is leading our development team excellently, getting so much done all the time. It's really awesome to see it happening. Let's jump into 2.0. The first big question is, if you're aware, if you're on Give right now, we're on version 1.8.12, and there probably is going to be a 0.13 as well. but then soon after that, at one point, we're going to jump to 2.0. So why are we going to skip 1.9 and go to 2.0? Devon.
Sure. So honestly, originally we thought that we would be doing some breaking changes. And if you know a bit about development or have been following kind of what WooCommerce has done, they follow what is called semantic versioning. And basically one rule of that is if there are breaking changes and non-backwards compatible changes, then they will jump to a major version like that. For us, we originally thought that we would be doing some breaking changes because there are a lot of significant database updates and optimizations going on behind the scene. But as we started to develop more and kind of looking to see how we could be backwards compatible, we've basically come to the conclusion that we can do all these significant upgrades and do so in a fashion that it won't break your websites and will be backwards compatible. So this is kind of sticking with the WordPress way. You know, one reason WordPress is so popular is it's been backwards compatible for ever since its existence, really. There's been very few breaking changes, and that's something we believe in too. It might mean that our development timeline is stretched a little more because we have to spend some more time looking at all these different edge cases, you know, with 30,000 plus active installs and a whole slew of different setups and environments and configurations. It's very tedious and time-consuming to go through all these scenarios, but that's something that we've committed in doing. And so, you know, why no 1.9? Really, that's the main reason why. But now we're just committed to 2.0, so we're just going to stick with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. And 2.0 just sounds cool. It just sounds like we're going to do something cool, and it is cool. I'm really excited for it. The first feature that I wanted to really chat about that I'm personally really excited about is a whole new way to customize all the emails that Give sends. I honestly, like, this is just a really great feature. I think it's really well done. I'm going to share my screen right here, and Devon's going to walk us through it a bit. But basically, all the different emails that Give sends, you're now going to be able to turn them on or off however you like, and also be able to customize them and everything. Let me share my screen here. And Devon, what can you tell us about it?
Sure. So when we took a look at this feature and or actually how our emails currently work right now, they're kind of sprinkled throughout the settings screens. Like, you know, you'll have your main core emails that are located within the main emails tab, which you see that Matt's on right now. And then recurring might add some, tributes might add some, but they wouldn't be within a main consolidated email screen. So in the future, you'll see all the add-on emails added to this screen as well. But basically, this main screen now is supposed to give you an overall view of which emails are enabled, which emails are not enabled, previewing each individual email, and then customizing each as you need to, seeing actual data within those emails, and then the ability to easily toggle them on and off within that main screen. Some emails are required, and some emails are not. And so this API that we developed really makes it easy for developers to add their own emails, much easier than the past. And then as well, you can customize all the recipients. And you know, I think it's going to just be a really great feature for those users who are doing some heavier email customizations, not to have to jump around to various screens. They can be at one home base of email customization, and then jump into each individual as you see. As you see Matt's doing right there, it's easier to add additional recipients. There's a repeater field there now. You don't have to you know, use one text area. So we're trying to customize each email with the same features. For instance, right now within 1.8.12 and since our 1.0 release, some emails you could preview, some emails you can send a test to, and then others you couldn't. That was just a little bit of a glitch right there, but you know, what demo goes smoothly all the time? Of course, most people are going to be using the HTML content type within the emails, but you can change the individual content types per email as well. For instance, if you wanted to create a custom template for just the new donation email, you could do that. So we're excited about this feature. It's kind of an alpha version right now, and we'll be improving the UI even more, doing a lot more testing. We've added some unit tests to make sure that a lot of the email tags render properly. We can catch any bugs ahead of time. So we'd like, we're excited to release this to you guys. And if you follow our developer blog, we have developers.givewp.com. And you are a developer, you can find out how to use this new API and how it's coming in the future.
Yeah. Cool. I'm super excited about that feature in particular. A lot of folks have asked a lot of questions about emails. Emails in WordPress in general are pretty troublesome, problematic in terms of customizing them really easily. There's several plugins out there that do a decent job of doing that for you. And we have several really big tutorials on how to customize emails on our website. But we're trying to make that as easy as possible for everyone now. And so this is a big step forward, and I think everyone's going to be excited about that. Also, I wanted to highlight, if anyone is interested in tracking how we're doing on any of these issues, I just pasted a link here in the chat on the side. That goes to GitHub, and GitHub is a repository that where we code everything. Everything that's happening with Give, you can see the code happening, basically. You see us push it to the repo, to GitHub, and you could see us talk about it, and you could see us accept it and merge it into core. You could check on our milestone, which is 2.0, the 2.0 milestone, to see how many issues we have on there and whether they get closed or not. If you are very interested in seeing how things are going and want to know how things are progressing and how close we are to being done, that's the best way to be informed and know what's happening. And that link I just posted there is the one that's specifically about this customizing emails issue, which is actually closed out now because it's basically done. But as you saw, there's a couple little tweaks that we still need to do to get that perfect. The next big feature that I think is going to really lead the way for the future of Give is our new Forms API. Devon, can you tell us a bit about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Forms API really is a way to more easily create the custom form fields that you'd like in your donation form. So right now, out of the box, you install Give, and the basic form works well, and it looks good for the variety of most people and their themes. But if you wanted to do things like create a stepped form where there's 1 through 4 process, the first step is you just select your donation level or a custom amount. Move on to the second step, enter your personal information, first name, last name, email. Third step, that's where you accept the payment. And then fourth step could be something else, or you can add intermediary steps in between, whether you want to accept tributes or not. So this API really allows us to create these custom layouts that are really going to lay the groundwork for what we want to do down the line, is provide another add-on for customized form themes. So for instance, if you wanted to do a form that or to create a form similar to how the Red Cross or United Way is accepting donations, you could do that. If you saw a really cool donation form on just a random website you were going to, or your friends showed you an example within CodePen or something, then you could definitely do that with our Forms API. Right now, the way that Give creates its form is very procedural and hook-based. So if you looked at our code at all, you'll notice there's nothing's really built out in an API structured way. It's kind of using actions and filters where need be, and this makes it really difficult to make heavy customizations without some significant development. So this really is a twofold update to ease the development burden and to provide a lot more flexibility in creating these more advanced donation forms.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, everything that we're putting into 2.0, there's a lot of things that are a little bit invisible to a user. They're happening in the back end in code and in the database. But what they're doing is laying down a new groundwork to really do some really great stuff for the future. We're going to talk about that a little bit later too. This next feature is a really fun one that I think everybody's going to really enjoy. We're building out a thing called a donation grid shortcode. Devon, you want to tell?
Sure, I can definitely talk about that. If you look at the issue that Matt pasted, I did some wireframes on the general concept, what we're envisioning these grid layouts will be. But essentially, your archive pages on your websites, like your listing pages where you have all your giving options, this will be much more flexible. Oh, there you go. You're sharing your screen. Perfect. This is going to be the ability to use this new shortcode. It might change from donation_form_grid to something else, but this is the general concept of it. It's going to show your goal. It's going to show your featured images. It's going to have a nice big donation button for you, and we're going to provide the grid layout for you as well. You'll be able to include a form excerpt, if you will, to describe what the campaign is about. And then you can also decide whether the button opens in a modal or goes to the single donation page, depending on your use cases. So this is something that we put a lot of thought into, and we're excited about this release for all the theme authors out there, all those individual nonprofits using this. And if you're using a site builder or a page builder, then you can pop this shortcode in on a blank page and see all your forms populated. It'd be a really nice feature to have.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of folks are going to be excited about that. Generally, in the past, we've always been using the archive page to list a bunch of donations, and we have a lot of tutorials about that as well. But theme support with archives are sometimes not totally there, and the way that you present an archive of donation forms might be different than the way you want to present your posts or whatever. And so there's lots of different customizations that you have to do to make it happen the way you want it to happen. So this grid feature is going to help folks in a lot of ways. I think they're going to be really useful. The last big feature we want to chat about a bit, it's really pretty technical, but it's actually really important for a lot of the big things that we want to accomplish, especially with a lot of our add-ons. But we're doing a big database refactor, more or less. We're moving a bunch of data over into some custom tables. We're also going to be separating out some of the data between donor data and donation data. Like sometimes you want to make sure that the email is saved to the donor, not to a specific donation only. And Devon can talk about that in much more detail than I can. Devon, what are you saying about the database refactor?
Sure. Right now, so within WordPress, by default, when somebody makes a donation and you have certain custom fields added to the donation form using Form Field Manager or your own custom code, it's going to store that data in post meta, which is where the majority of most plugins store their data depending on what your needs are. But WordPress also has great support for custom tables and post meta as well. And so what we're doing in 2.0 is essentially breaking off our donor meta, which is the information, the data that's attached to the donor, and then our payment meta, which is the information that's attached to each individual donation payment. And as well, we're breaking off the log meta as well. So when there's a donation that is made and there's a log item that is stored as well, or if there's an error with the payment or something they put in an incorrect credit card and Stripe returned an error, that's going to be stored in the log meta. As well, there's also going to be form meta. So each of your individual donation forms, how you configure it, your multi-level amounts, that's going to go into a form meta table. So what we're going to do is basically make your WordPress site faster by when you upgrade to 2.0 and run the upgrades process. Hopefully everybody's seen the new upgrade screen in 1.8.12. It's a much more intuitive process that it's more reliable. It uses Ajax. It shows you a progress bar. There's no refreshing. It's going to basically speed up your website by sucking all that data out of your existing tables, making them leaner, making it easier for queries to happen faster, and put them into our custom tables, which is going to in turn speed up Give as well. So this is a much more optimized database schema. We're really excited about it. And as well, with the payment meta, we were previously storing the payment meta, certain meta details within an array of one separate key, of one single key, excuse me. What we're going to do is take all that information within that array, which is hard to index, it's hard to query, it's hard to add to it, and separate those into separate payment meta keys. What does all this mean? It essentially means that we're setting the groundwork for a much more scalable and robust Give in the future, so it can handle much more data into it over short periods of time. So if you get a massive influx of donors, it's not going to fill up your post meta table unnecessarily. We're going to manage that within our own tables, and it's really going to allow us to grow our database in the way we want and control our data structures more reliably.
Awesome. Appreciate the feedback we're getting in the chat. Andrew was asking specifically why we decided to do the database restructure. I think Devon touched on that a bit, just generally because of the way that it makes our code leaner, because we can target things a lot more targeted in a much more targeted fashion. It makes everything a lot more optimized. Your Give donation processes are going to actually be a little bit quicker. All those things are big benefits. And then what he mentioned there at the very end, that it's basically enabling us to move forward in a much more scalable manner so we could do more things with our add-ons and with Give itself. Those are all big benefits that this refactor is going to be enabling. And the awesome thing, like we said earlier about how we originally called it 2.0 because there was going to be breaking changes, this was one of the big breaking changes that we thought was really going to require the 2.0 number. But at the end of the day, because of the way that we've been learning a lot about upgrades, upgrade routines specifically, this is going to be a smooth transition for everybody. That you're not going to lose anything. Your database is going to be migrated, not migrated, but updated and changed perfectly, just because of how smooth we've been able to make these things happen recently in recent versions. So that's exciting stuff. In 2.0, there's a lot of other really fun minor things happening as well. I just want to mention them real quickly. We're going to allow for goals to be set as a number of donations. A lot of folks have said we want to just set it as we want to get 100 donations. Maybe if you set it as $50 per donation as a set donation type, then you're like, we just need 100 $50 donations and we're done. Now your goal can be set not only as an amount, it could be set as a percentage. Now it can also be set as a number of donations. That's a fun feature coming up. We're also swapping out our tooltips. I don't know if you're one of the customers, every once in a while, our tooltips have actually caused some conflicts with other JavaScript, or maybe vice versa. Maybe the other JavaScript caused trouble with us. One way or the other, that tooltip JavaScript we were using was being problematic every once in a while. And we decided to go with a pure CSS tooltip method. And it's actually very, very, we like the word around here, we like robust. It's very robust in the way that it can be extended and used in lots of different ways. Customized, you can customize the text inside the tooltips a lot more easily now. There's lots of great benefits to this new library that we're using. We're excited to roll that out. The last one is also that we're going to allow admins to be able to collect the donor's mailing address in addition to the billing address, because everybody knows that the billing address on your credit card is not always necessarily the mailing address of the donor. And this is part of that database restructuring that we talked about, that some data is unique to the donor and other data is unique to the donation. We want to separate that out smartly, and then that mailing address definitely belongs with the donation because that's the billing address for the credit card. But then you might want to also get the mailing address of that person, especially if you're using a CRM like Salesforce or whatnot. you want to separate those things out smartly. So that 2.0 is going to enable us to be able to do that as well. I got a couple questions in chat here. Let's see. Is 2.0 available now? No, it's not available right now, David. I have that link to GitHub. If you go to GitHub, you can actually, GitHub is really for developers, so I'm not recommending this in any way, but if you wanted to play with it in any way, not on your live site, definitely don't swap it out with your live donation site right now at all. But if you want to play with it in a safe environment, then you can download it there. You just go to GitHub and you're going to switch to the release 2.0 branch, and you'll be able to download a zip of it. And like I was showing earlier, there's still some bugs to work out. Not everything is done there. We have some things that are functional that we can show, but it's still underway for sure. Another question, Andrew is asking, will the 2.0 form builder offer the ability to change the sizing of the field? Let me see. Some boxes are bigger than others. Doing that through CSS now, it's kind of a hassle sometimes. I'm sure it is. Most often, that's usually the fault of your theme interacting badly with form fields, or trying to be really aggressive about the way they style form fields. So when it comes to being able to adjust the fields themselves, if you're talking about the custom fields that Form Field Manager outputs, Devon was mentioning that earlier in the session today, that we're pushing out an update within the next couple of weeks to Form Field Manager that will allow you to set it up in columns, put them right next to each other, or stack them or whatnot. When it comes to the forms themselves, the default forms with Give Core with 2.0, it definitely will have a lot more flexibility, have a lot more capability to do a lot of things with it. It depends on exactly what the issue is, so definitely reach out to us in support so we can see what's going on and help as much as we can. But in general, the form process, the form markup itself is going to be much better. So that does make things a lot easier to style, and it should be a lot more reliable across themes as well. So where can we request new integrations? We would love a way to get Give info into ACS. Actually, we have a page on our site that I was just updating a little bit today. Go to our website, go to givewp.com/coming-soon. And that's where we kind of put a bunch of ideas up there of add-ons that we are considering, or some that are in active development. For example, right now you'll see up there an add-on in active development called Gift Aid. That is one that we are building out right now, actually. And also underneath the active development section is a bunch of add-on ideas that you can vote for, and we definitely listen to those votes and what you're voting for. And at the very bottom of that whole page, there's actually a form where you can submit your suggestion.
Matt, can I just say one thing on that?
Yeah.
So Zapier is one add-on that is a really powerful tool that allows you to integrate. I'm not sure what ACS is or ACF. I'm not sure what. It sounds like some CRM or something like that, but basically, if there is a Zap on Zapier.com, our Give Zapier add-on integrates with that and allows you to send data and pipe data in a very robust way using filters. And I need to stop using the word robust. I'm not sure most people don't like that word, but it's a really powerful add-on, and a number of our customers have found very great returns on it from where they need to get their data, whether it's Infusionsoft or Salesforce. You know, with a lot of these CRMs, there's no like one size fits all for where you want your data to go. Maybe you have a custom field setup where there's certain options, and depending on the choice of that option, it needs to go there or somewhere else. Zapier allows you to do that, and it's a really powerful tool. So I just want to mention that.
Absolutely. Cool. Last thing we want to chat about before we wrap up is, what is 2.0 going to enable us to do for the future of Give? We've kind of touched on this throughout the whole session today, but just to wrap it up, let's chat about some of those things, because that's really the big exciting stuff, is the way that 2.0 is going to enable all of our add-ons to do better things, some features that we really been wanting to release for a while. The first one that I'll talk about real quick is we're really excited to start doing a lot more with our actual form styles. As things have been so far, Give, it was built really lean from a style perspective to inherit the styles from your form as much as possible. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of themes really don't do anything with form fields at all, or sometimes they are very, very opinionated about form fields, and that can sometimes cause trouble with our forms. What we're hoping that Give 2.0 is going to do is going to enable us to actually have a lot more control over the styles of the form fields themselves and over the form, including being able to do some nice navigation options like what Devon was mentioning earlier, like a stepped form type of feel. You saw that on the Barack Obama 2008 election donation form, and there's also several others that are very popular that do this, where it's like enter your name and then next, and then enter the amount next. Those kinds of things will be possible with Give once we roll out 2.0 and start building out some new ways to do that. Devon, you want to talk a little bit about the donor UI and data improvements that we're going to do after 2.0?
Yeah, certainly. So like you talked about how separation of concerns as far as like donor meta and then payment meta, within the new version of Give 2.0, what we can do is also store additional addresses that might belong to the donor as well. So really providing more of those CRM features that you're used to right within Give. And like Amazon, you go on Amazon, you view your account, you see all the past addresses you've used, you see some of the payment information, you might see some custom fields as well. We're currently working on a gift aid add-on right now. So with gift aid, the address that is given is belonging to that donor, so that needs to be an additional address under that donor itself. So it's really maintaining that that separation of concerns and then allowing developers to choose which data belongs where.
Nice. We also have some really cool features coming out with recurring. How is 2.0 going to impact future development of recurring, Devon?
Well, we can do a lot more cool things like have a tabbed layout between non-recurring giving and giving in a recurring method. You can change the way that the recurring option displays on the form, where it displays on the form, and then as well in the back end, we can also do a lot more improvements to exactly how that data is stored as well.
Yep, and then the last one that's probably the add-on that has probably the biggest impact after 2.0 is Form Field Manager. Can you talk a little bit about how 2.0 is going to impact Form Field Manager?
Absolutely. So right now, I'm the UI that is you see in WP Admin for Form Field Manager, it's not representative really of what you see on the front end of the fields. So I've got a lot of options available here. So with 2.0 Plus, now what we can do is make much more visual builder with Form Field Manager. So I have some wireframes. They're not yet released, but I envision a way where you can drag and drop your form fields right into your donation form in a much more visual manner, similar to how you use Caldera forms or Gravity forms. We don't want to be a form builder plugin, but we do want to provide that visual donation form building process. So there'll be a crossover between adding your custom fields and then customizing some of the options. We're still working out some of the details there. It's really early on for that, but that's kind of the high-level picture of that. We're going to be ditching the current UI down the line. It's been working okay for how it is, but it's not what we envision for the future.
Nice. Cool. Well, Devon, it's been excellent having you on. Of course, like I said, we can't talk about development of these awesome things without Devon, of course. Devon's making everything happen. If you don't know, I mean, years ago, before Give existed, it was Devon basically pounding away at the computer 9 hours a day, just coding things up and making stuff happen. I mean, I contributed some code, but I mean, it's embarrassing how much code I contributed compared to Devon. So, and everything that Devon is doing to lead our development team is what's powering everything that we're pushing out there right now. And all of us have our unique spot in our company, and we try to lead as best as we can. But I'm really thankful for having Devon on here today. So thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And I got to give a shout out to Ravinder Kumar, who's our senior WordPress developer. He's really doing a killer job on 2.0. Mehul Gohil, who's also on our team. And then our newest hire, which is coming on board soon, his name's Deepak Gupta. He's also a great guy. So all of them, got to give a shout out to them.
For sure. Awesome. Well, mark your calendars, folks. Next month, Wednesday, September 13th at 5 p.m., we're going to be talking about Give and roles and capabilities, and it's going to be exciting, not boring. Really, you're going to like it. You're going to find out some new things you could do. So mark your calendar, and thanks so much for being on with us today. See you next time.
Bye.